Under a starry night sky, amidst a mystical glow and gently falling white petals, Leewin and Rosaline stood by the castle's balustrade. Leewin's gaze wavered slightly, his deep voice echoing in the night. "Your Highness, a life without you is meaningless to me, so please stop running and look only at me." Rosaline trembled slightly, her lips stammering his title, Duke. She seemed to want to say something but still hesitated. "Your Highness." She lowered her face, speaking in a soft voice. I already told you, that's not how you're supposed to act in this scene. And your hands just now? Your whole body was shaking like a leaf. I could even feel you sweating like you'd just run a marathon. If you keep this up, do you really think you can save the world? In a flashback, Leewin recalled, "My name is Lee Win Zeberwen. I am a duke of this empire, and right now I'm being taught how to be seductive by the princess herself. Why, you ask? To stop the world from being destroyed, of course. I was reincarnated into a dark and tragic BL novel, The Legendary Tragedy of Bivaluses. The story revolves around Savian, who is beloved by the gods, and the two extreme obsessives fighting over him, the emperor of the Helen Lysias Empire and the tyrant of the Baharat Khalil Empire. Their love triangle escalates into a war. Both of the madmen try to conquer Savian until they die on the battlefield. Savian, tormented by guilt, takes his own life. The enraged god then destroys the world, and that's how the novel ends. Therefore, to prevent that destruction, the princess and I have teamed up." Rosalind, losing all patience, glared with furious eyes. "How many more times do I have to say it? The original male lead is only into the crazy, possessive type. As a man, I am trying to become more appealing than those two lunatics, and seduce Savian as part of this top-secret project." Leewin froze, breaking out in a cold sweat with an awkward expression. Being thrown into a dark BL novel was bad enough, but now I have to seduce the male lead too. "But there's a critical flaw in this plan," Rosaline snapped, shouting, "Hey sister, are you even listening?" Leewin quickly replied, "My apologies." Returning to the thoughts in my head, and that flaw is, I'm not actually a man, I'm a woman. I hesitated, nervously scratching my head. "Hey Rosaline, what if someone finds out I'm a girl?" She answered in a cold voice. "Then you're dead for sure," silenced without a trace. "That's why, sister, practice is the only thing that can save you." My voice trembled slightly but was full of determination. "I'll do my best," Rosaline mused thoughtfully. "So, how did a girl like me end up having to pretend to be a boy? We have to go back quite a long time, 22 years ago, to the day Duke Burgen fell in battle. I was born in the middle of a storm. Two men stood in a dark room. One of them spoke first. 'So his grace is truly gone? Without a male heir, what will become of House Burgen? Our only hope now is that the child is a boy.' In another room, the lady of the house was screaming in pain. A servant by her side encouraged her. 'My lady, please hang in there a little longer. You're almost there.' It seemed the lady could not hold on much longer. Two panicked servants begged, 'My lady, please stay with us.' Suddenly a voice announced, 'The baby is out.' Someone who had been observing hurriedly asked, 'Is it a boy or a girl?' The maid stammered, It's a girl." As the newborn let out its first cry, she stood staring at the red infant, and then she turned away and ordered a servant to summon a sorcerer immediately. The maid respectfully answered, 'Yes, my lady.' The woman then looked down at the body of the recently deceased duchess and announced clearly, 'Everyone, listen closely. The duchess passed away while giving birth to a son, and so she went as far as to use black magic to raise me as a boy. Any normal child would have gone insane, but not me, because I remember my past life.' She remembered the first time she woke up, her soul inside that baby's body. What in the world is happening? I was just an unemployed person looking for a job. Images from her past life flashed through Leewin's mind. Life. She remembered the first time she woke up, her soul inside that baby's body. What in the world is for a job I had prepared for years? On the day I was about to receive my employee ID, I died in an accident, a traffic accident, and woke up as a baby in a strange new world. A maid held Leewin in her arms, for a job I had prepared for years. On the day I was about to receive my employee ID, I died in an accident, and spoke. Crying so loudly like that, it must be a boy, right? She was utterly confused. And so, my life as a cross-dressing noble began. I thought that being born the heir to a duke would make life easy, but it turns out that being an heir comes with so many heavy expectations. As time went on, she grew stronger, and the painful black magic became a familiar thing. The heir training was brutal and relentless. I was forced to study non-stop and endure sword practice until my entire body shook. Oh God, I'm going to die. And when I became the family head, I didn't get even one real day off before being sent to the battlefield. I was given the title Guardian of the Frontier. Forget some primrose path, this was a total quagmire, all the way into adulthood. When Leewin finally became the official family heir, a meeting between the nobles was underway. A nobleman spoke up. "Duke, an heir for the family of Viscount Anthony has not yet been decided. I've lived my entire life, not as a woman, but as a man." They continued their report as she was lost in thought. "We've searched all the family branches, but there's no one suitable." Suddenly Leewin interjected, "What are you talking about? Doesn't the Viscount have 7 daughters?" They responded in confusion. "Your Grace, how can you say something like that? According to imperial law, women cannot inherit titles or property." Leewin rested her chin on her hand and said calmly, "I was just kidding." The tense atmosphere instantly shattered. They chuckled. "You really got me, Your Grace. I haven't laughed like that in a long time." The man on the right, Leewin, continued, "Aren't you keeping an eye on that family's second daughter?" The man on the left chimed in. "This is your chance, isn't it?" Though she appeared calm on the outside. Deep down, she was worried. If anyone finds out I'm a woman, if anyone discovers I'm a woman, I could be executed. That night, Leewin was in bed, filled with so many worries. Thinking back, I tried so desperately to survive. Even when I didn't know anything about this world, she clutched her stomach in discomfort. Oh, is it here already? No wonder I've been so on edge. Why is the magic? What can black magic even do? When it can only change my voice. A voice announced from outside, "My Lord Duke." A merchant in a black cloak requests an audience. The man in the black cloak entered and said, "It's been a while, my lord." She raised her arm for the newcomer to cast his magic, thinking that something even more terrible was awaiting me. To hide my increasingly feminine appearance, I used black magic and endured this painful ritual. Every year. Ugh, I still can't forget this agonizing feeling. Seeing her like this, the sorcerer smirked and suggested, "You look like you're in great pain. Would you like to hear an interesting rumor? To ease the tension?" Leewin asked in confusion. "A rumor?" The sorcerer continued. "As you know, the royal family has a princess, their only one, who is said to be rather quiet and reserved. Rumor has it that she's gone mad." Leewin asked again, confused. "Huh? The princess?" She thought to herself, "I've run into her a few times at the palace, but she didn't seem like that kind of person. I wonder if something happened." At that very moment in the royal palace, a voice rang out, "Ever since she nearly drowned. She's gone mad." The person holding the pen paused and asked, "You mean Rosaline?" The other person replied, "Yes, Her Highness the Princess. The princess has suddenly started muttering things no one can understand, and she's even forgotten her etiquette. Sometimes she bursts into tears, other times she laughs like she's lost her mind." The man smirked. Is that so? Perhaps I can use this story as an excuse to summon Leewin back to the capital." The other person asked, confused. "Yes, Your Highness? She's gone mad." The person holding the pen paused and asked, "You mean Rosaline?" The other person replied, "Duke Burgen to the palace. Lysias, Emperor of the Hellen Empire, Duke Burgen is indeed the one who became a duke. At a very young age, thanks to his abilities. The Count of the Hellen Empire, the Crown Prince's mentor, thought pensively. Duke Burgen is currently the most capable man in the empire, and since he has been close with the Crown Prince since childhood, the fact that he is being consulted is not strange at all. But there is one thing that worries me." From the courtyard outside, the sudden voices of two maids made him turn around. "Your Highness, please stop. I've told you countless times that royalty is not allowed to run." Rosaline ran ahead, her voice irritated. "So what? Stop following me, leave me alone." The Count watched silently, his face full of anxiety. He turned to address Lysias. "With Her Highness acting so strangely, the royal family is starting to face trouble. We should have been able to bring up the matter of a marriage with Duke Burgen." Lysias's face darkened, his eyes staring into space. He placed his hand on the stack of papers, his voice low, his attitude extremely displeased. "In any case, the princess just escaped death, so we can't blame her. And as for the marriage between the duke and the princess, he is indeed the ideal candidate, wealthy and noble." The Count seemed a bit flustered. "Huh? That's right." He looked at the Count before him, each word like a cold, sharp blade. "But Count, you've had a lot of free time recently, haven't you? Judging by your interest in these matters." He replied, trembling, "I apologize, I spoke out of turn." The Count thought to himself, even that kind and gentle Crown Prince's expression changes whenever Duke Burgen is mentioned. The events of the past replayed in his subconscious. The previous emperors of the Highlands Empire is always obsessed with something. Nothing but pure madness and obsession. And among all the emperors of Highlands, the one considered the greatest and wisest, Lysias of Highlands, was benevolent even as a child. Many said he would be different from his predecessors, but I've seen in his eyes the exact same look he has now. Furious at the request from the three nobles, Lysias shouted, "Absolutely not! The legal age for military enlistment according to imperial law is 18, and yet you dare ask me, the Crown Prince, to break the law and send the young Duke Burgen to the battlefield?" He remembered it vividly, how in that moment, the Crown Prince's eyes seemed to say, "If anyone else speaks up, I'll imprison you for treason." It was the madness hidden deep within his true nature. Now that I think about it, the people who were there at the time seemed to have disappeared from the noble council for a while. A few days later, Leewin and Lysias were sitting and talking, in a room. She asked with a radiant smile, "So is the nickname Crazy Princess true?" Lysias looked a bit embarrassed, and she realized she had just been improper. "Ah, sorry, did I laugh too much? Everyone's talking about the princess." Lysias replied curtly, "No." Leewin wondered to herself, why is his face so red? Is he hot? She asked Lysias again seriously. What on earth did the princess do to get stuck with that nickname? She used to be so gentle before. Lysias replied in a firm voice, "Lately Rosalind keeps saying strange things that I don't understand at all." She looked up at him curiously. "Like what?" Lysias recounted what Rosalind said. "Titokbaki, I want my phone. I'm craving spicy chicken feet. Sandwiches. For a rainy day. You're too strict. You'd think this was the Joseon dynasty or something." Taking a sip of wine, hearing him say that, made her choke in surprise. Seeing this, Lysias asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" Leewin turned her face away and answered, "Yeah, I just choked a little." A thought also ran through her head. Maybe the princess was reincarnated like me too. Besides the shock, hearing those words, coming from that face, which is practically a national treasure, was really something. Leewin asked in a somber voice, "Lysias, where is the princess now?" He looked at her and replied casually, She's been grounded lately, so she's probably in her palace. Why do you ask? Leewin tilted her head with a slight smile. Oh, really? Then can I meet the princess? Right now? She thought to herself. Anyway, this isn't the time for other things. I need to talk to the princess, Lysias said sternly. Leewin, even you can't just go and meet the princess on your own. Leewin immediately shot back. Why not? Are you afraid? Your sister will fall in love with me? Lysias avoided her gaze, admitting, that could actually happen. You're cuter today than usual. No, wait, that's not what I meant. Unless we go together. At our age, meeting alone will cause rumors. Leewin crossed her arms, a thought flashing through her mind. Ah, that's right. This place is still so conservative that even the distance between an unmarried man and woman is scrutinized. If a princess and a duke were to meet alone. Lysias made a suggestion. So I'll go with you as her older brother, and maybe we can take a little walk on the way. That made Leewin break out in a nervous sweat. That's no good. Then I won't be able to talk about being reincarnated at all. Without a second thought, she hurriedly grabbed his arm. Wait, Lysias, aren't you busy? His Majesty hasn't been well lately. Leewin was firm in her resolve. I need to meet the princess alone, she emphasized. Every word. Besides, you said you wanted to become a wise ruler, right? To do that, you need to study. I'm truly looking forward to it. There you go. Lucius froze, a dazed look on his face. Expectations? That's right, you're correct. Then, a thought popped into her head. Did he fall for it? Lucius looked at her, his gaze lowering gently, exuding a tenderness as if trying to hide his true feelings. Leewin looked up, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and confusion. He spoke affectionately. Then I shall study very diligently. Leewin was firm in her resolve. I need to meet the princess alone, she emphasized. She spoke with gratitude. That would help me so much, Leewin thought to herself as Lucius gently wiped the water from her cheek. Looking at Leewin's face, there's still some water here, so next time remember to praise me for doing a good job. I'll say you're meeting the princess on official business. My cheek is going to be rubbed raw, he advised thoughtfully. Well then, Leewin, be careful on your way. In a beautiful and romantic garden, you've got some on your cheek too. Leewin could only sigh to herself, not realizing she'd gotten so wet. Leaving Lucius behind was a good idea, but a maid spoke up. She's currently grounded, so where could she possibly go? We're also looking for her. The other maid looked frantic. Her voice rushed. The princess, she was just here a little while ago, surrounded by lush greenery and beds of vibrant flowers. At that moment, Leewin's inner voice spoke up. Sparkling sunlight filtered through the leaves. As if spotting something, Leewin squinted toward the source of a sound. Where did she go? Leewin searched all over for the princess, sighing to herself. Meeting the princess is certainly not easy. It turned out to be a girl wearing a cloak, rustling around in a bush. She recognized the sound of a voice that was very familiar to her. A voice was constantly complaining. It's so tight. I'm gonna die. Why can't I squeeze through this thing? Ah! You scared the daylights out of me. My heart almost leaped out of my chest. Leewin was a little surprised and thought, wait, why is she dressed like that? Is she trying to escape? That iron bar was cut so cleanly, and it's thick too. It looks like it was filed down over and over again very evenly. This tone of voice. Could it be the princess? Leewin offered, Your Highness, may I help you? Rosaline jumped and turned around, her tone accusatory. First, let's get you on your feet. You'll catch a cold dressed like that. She replied softly, Oh, yes, thank you. Even so, Rosaline couldn't help but feel disappointed in her heart. I thought I would escape this time, but I failed again. Rosaline looked up at her, her voice a little guarded. But who is this person? Leewin gently extended a hand to help her, and then take a nap. Leewin, hey, understood and cheerfully added, Spicy food is the best when you're stressed out. Hearing Leewin say that, she looked excited. You've got great taste. That's right, eating the spiciest level melts all your troubles away. It's so frustrating. At times like this, you need to eat something spicy and sweet. Rosaline's face was full of sadness as she voiced her craving. I just want to eat tteokbokki. Then she spoke deliberately. Princess, you're Korean, right? I am too, so I understand Korean. I remember my past life. Rosaline stared at her with wide, astonished eyes. A past life? Leewin began to explain seriously to Rosaline. Who are you? How do you understand what I'm saying? Leewin thought to herself. Oh, so you can speak the imperial language too? So I just continued living like this. As she spoke, she pointed to her shoulder. It was quite painful. A tense expression appeared on her face, her voice strained. So you don't know where this place is either? Leewin answered her. That's right. I'm guessing I was reincarnated into the Middle Ages or something. That's right. I died in a car accident and then woke up in a baby's body. I think it must have been fate. Because I'm the type who transmigrated into a book as a villainess, only to be beheaded by an obsessed psycho. What about me, Princess Rosalind? Tilting my head, I spoke in a low voice. In some ways, the less you know, the better, right? Rosaline's voice cut through her train of thought. Oh, and one more thing. This world is about to end. Leewin froze, asking back in confusion. Transmigrated into a book. She wondered to herself, wait a minute. So this place is inside a book. For real? What? It's really going to end? After hearing Rosaline explain everything, Leewin started to get it. In short, the story, the princess told me, begins after the Hellen Empire defeated the BH Empire in the war, and took BH's 8th prince, Savian, as a hostage. The crown prince of Hellen, Lysias, falls in love with Savian, but the tyrant of BH, Kalian, brings Savian back home and wins his heart. Ultimately, the love triangle between the three, Leewin shuddered. What? Her words echoed loud and clear in Leewin's mind. is that when Savian, who is beloved by a god, dies, the god gets angry and destroys humanity, and that's the ending. Rosalind smiled. And your hands just now? Your whole body was shaking like a leaf. Is so beautiful, isn't it? In a notebook, the princess had jotted down summaries of the original plot. Great War, the wrath of Smugly. So, what do you think? The painful and tragic love story of these three men. Been dragged into? Leewin forced a smile, hesitating a little. Not really. It's hard to believe this place is actually inside a novel. Rosaline's eyes widened, her voice filled with excitement. You're a reincarnator, and I'm a transmigrator. So cool, right? And this story about me, the princess, is also a terrifying truth. Leewin looked down, lost in her own thoughts. But there was one thing I just couldn't accept. Lysias, who was known as a wise ruler, would start a war over love. Really? Can I actually trust what the princess is saying? She turned to Rosalind and asked quietly, But, Your Highness, I am a little curious about something, she replied casually. Yeah, go ahead. Leewin voiced her confusion. I'm pretty open-minded, so I can get same-sex relationships, but what the hell is this obsessed top thing you're talking about? And what is BL? Is it some kind of nickname? Rosaline looked a little surprised by her question. Don't tell me you have absolutely no idea about this genre. Leewin was still lost. This genre. What even is a genre? And so the princess's epic lecture continued on without end. She made up her mind, I have to write all this down in case I forget. Since I've transmigrated into this world, I absolutely must. Read it carefully. And she even handed me a handwritten guide. But this thing. Characteristics of an obsessed top. 1. Forced kissing. 2. Confinement. And threats. 3. Isolation. Leewin held the notebook, thinking to herself, does this kind of stuff actually exist? No matter how I look at it, this just seems like a list of crimes. You call this love? While Leewin was busy studying, Rosaline exclaimed excitedly, So, the most realistic way to change this apocalyptic ending is for someone to become an obsessed top and seduce Savian first. Ah, what a beautiful love. As long as you win over the original male lead Savian, then you. He wouldn't get involved with the other two male leads. Leewin's expression darkened. It weighed on my mind. I didn't know who that person was, but I was already starting to feel sorry for them. Having to jump into such a devastating mess. Back then, I never would have guessed that person would be me. A few days later, in the princess's palace garden, Leewin exclaimed in shock, What? Are you saying you want me to become a male lead who's infatuated with him? Sitting across from him, she replied with a radiant expression, That's right. What did you think I brought you to the duchy for? To save the world, a new male lead needs to appear and seduce Savian. And after looking at it from every angle, you're the only person in this empire who's perfect in every way. The only man in the entire empire who is absolutely perfect is Duke Burgen. Status, looks, ability, you're also a master swordsman. And the delicate Savian is set up to admire martial prowess, so it's a perfect match. Perfect, right? Leewin was stunned, speechless. I really never expected this to happen. Who would have thought the princess would choose me to be the new main character? She imagined a scene with Savian, looking at him with a sweet gaze and speaking in an affectionate tone. Oh, Prince, you're so beautiful, Savian would reply, all flustered and shy. Yes. Leewin snapped back to her train of thought. But I'm not a man in the first place, so how can it be BL? It's supposed to be love between two guys. Wait a minute. I'm dressed as a man right now, right? No wonder the princess made such a ridiculous proposal. And so, Leewin began her confession to Rosaline. Your Highness, I'm afraid this proposal will be a bit difficult. This is an absolute secret, but the truth is I'm not a man, but a woman. Rosalind couldn't believe what she was hearing. No? What? I know you don't want to do it, but you don't have to lie like that. Leewin asserted again. I'm not lying. I used black magic to change my appearance. And by the way, I've always been a woman, in my past life and in this one. It was like a bolt from the blue. She couldn't help but be stunned. Really? Black magic? I think there was a setting. Like that. So you're not my brother but my sister? Leewin laughed shyly. It's been a while since I've been called a sister. Rosalind's voice softened slightly. No wonder Lysias's personality is so different. It must be because the original settings changed, huh? Leewin asked blankly. Lysias? She replied in a serious tone. That's right. In the original story, he was very cold and selfish. The description in the novel was basically that of a madman. Leewin was completely shocked. That's impossible, she continued calmly. I was also very surprised when I saw how different he was from his original character setting. Unanswered questions began to form in Leewin's mind. Could the kind Lysias I know really be a madman? She remembered Lysias's words. Leewin, I will become a wise and virtuous king. Leewin quickly shook the thought away. No way, no, the Lysias I know would never be like that. She shared her thoughts with Rosaline. But the Lysias I know is a friend, who is kinder and warmer than anyone else. She didn't refute Leewin's point, her expression thoughtful. But in reality, the fact that we transmigrated into this world already proves the original storyline is changing, so it's possible that Lysias has changed too. After all, we haven't been here for that long. Anyway, now isn't the time to talk about that stuff. Sister, I know this is a huge burden, because you're not actually a man, and this is a huge task, but everyone knows you as the one and only man. Trust me, I'm a transmigrator, and since you're a man... No, my sister, please, I'm begging you, become. And let's save the world together. And let's save the world together. We still have about 5 years. before Savian, the male lead, shows up, so we still have plenty of time. Only you can do this. Please, let's do this together. Trust me, I'm a transmigrator, and since you're a man... No, my sister, please, I'm begging you. Do? I'm so shocked to hear something so unexpected. But if what the princess says is true, this world is about to be destroyed. That means I don't have a future either. I fought tooth and nail to live as a man. I can't let everything end so meaninglessly like this. As Duke Burgen, the one who led troops to countless victories. The cheers were for her. He's here. Welcome. Leewin thought helplessly. Then is there only one answer? Left? Her train of thought ended, and Leewin made her decision. I understand, Your Highness, I'm not sure I can do it, but I'll try. Hearing this, Rosaline couldn't hide her joy. Really? You can't go back on your word now. Well then, a toast to our new partnership. And so, the secret alliance between me, I'll help with everything I've got too. Leewin was still hesitant, her mind racing with endless worries. What should I, in her heart? However, now I should relax with a cup of tea. Rosaline chimed in with a reminder. Hey sis, a possessive top wouldn't, and the princess to save the world had begun. Leewin felt a sense of relief. Who's cool and aloof? Looks like you just need a lot of acting practice. Let's start right away. And I think it's like... Leewin sighed quietly. I should just give up. Becoming a possessive top isn't as easy as I thought. And then one night, a few days later, put sugar in their tea. A possessive top doesn't eat sweets. Don't make that face. A possessive top has to be the type of person. Mingled with the sound of Leewin's voice. It's so surprising that the palace has a secret passage, and even more surprising that it's this spacious. In front of them was a vast hallway. She curiously asked Rosaline, how do you know about this place? Is it another perk of being a transmigrator? Rosaline answered, I know because this is the cold palace, where Savian will be exiled to in 5 years. You should take this. Leewin looked at the sword Rosaline was holding, wondering, is this a wooden training sword? She calmly replied, in exchange, for me teaching you how to be a possessive top, you promised to teach me swordsmanship. Now then, let's begin. Rosaline was determined in her heart. I will change my own future. Leewin let out a warm laugh. All right then. According to the original story, the princess would be beheaded for being the villainess. So to avoid that tragic end, the princess decided to learn swordsmanship from me, and I would learn the charming skills of a possessive top from her. A few minutes later, seeing an exhausted Rosaline, Leewin advised, it seems like we should prioritize building your stamina before learning swordsmanship. You're already tired after just 10 minutes. That's enough, she said in a tired voice. Then how about we start the possessive top lesson instead of sword practice? Leewin agreed. Let's do that then. Rosaline gently raised her hands to touch Leewin's face. She began to instruct her. All right, now for the question. First off, if Savian got close to you like this, what would you do? She immediately answered, I would gently touch his cheek too. Rosaline looked dissatisfied. That's too weak. All of a sudden she pulled Rosaline into an embrace, and then I'd hug him tightly. Leewin's action just now made Rosaline furious. That's not it. Didn't you read the instructions? You have to grab him more forcefully or just kiss him. His heart skipped a beat, his mouth agape. I can't kiss you again. Rosaline yelled angrily again. Again! I told you it's too weak. You have to be more possessive. Leewin shared his thoughts. I think he'll be uncomfortable if I just suddenly hug him like that. Rosaline argued against him, but that's what makes it so appealing. Don't worry, just hug me tighter. Outside, someone had been watching the scene for who knows how long. It was one of the royal shadow knights. He hid and watched. What am I even looking at? I was only passing by because I sensed something suspicious in the cold palace, so why are those two here? From the perspective of the person watching from the shadows, Leewin spoke in a sweet voice. My beautiful princess. She blushed and turned to the side. Oh my, please hug me tighter. He wondered if he should report this to the crown prince. In the end, he decided to report what happened. He respectfully reported to Lysias, that is the end of my report. Lysias was focused on writing something on a paper. Upon hearing the Shadow Knight's report, his whole body froze, his voice turning cold. What? What did you just say? The Shadow Knight continued his report. At around 1 in the morning, Her Highness the Princess and the Duke met in the cold palace for a secret rendezvous. Lysias sat there, his voice devoid of emotion. Is that true? He answered respectfully, yes, that is correct. What should we do now? For the time being, just continue to monitor them. Separately, the Royal Shadow Knight thought to himself, he must be in deep shock because this concerns the princess. To think that such a gentle person could make a face that scary. Lysias still showed no emotion on his face, saying coldly, it's fine. What if Leewin finds out? Lysias wanted to maintain his good image in his eyes. The Lysias that Leewin knows is so innocent he's almost foolish. Leewin, come over here, and would never do something dirty like spying on a friend behind their back. So I don't want to disappoint him. And if Leewin were to discover my feelings for him, the moment I confessed to Leewin, then he thought about how Leewin would react. What did you say, Lysias? We're both guys, right? You're saying you like me? Lysias thought with a heavy heart. So I don't want to disappoint him. I must hide these feelings completely. The Shadow Knight's voice called out, pulling him back to reality. Your Highness. Lysias spoke in a low, hoarse voice. Ah, my apologies. I was lost in thought for a moment. Just leave them be for now. It's a good thing that the Empire's greatest duke and the princess have fallen in love. Nevertheless, his heart ached terribly. But how much longer do I have to hide these feelings? Time went on, and 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. During that time, Lysias had ascended to the throne. Currently, Leewin and Rosaline were practicing their sword fighting diligently, and it was clear their skills were on par with each other. And the princess's skills have improved so much that she can now parry my sword. And suddenly Rosaline slipped and nearly fell. Luckily, Leewin caught her just in time, gently warning her, "The floor is very slippery." "There, please be careful," Rosaline said shyly in a soft voice. "Thank you, Your Grace." Leewin gazed at her intently, his voice affectionate. "Your Highness, do you have any idea how the scent of violets on you drives me insane?" Rosaline breathed. "Duke, my heart is pounding. You've totally nailed the obsessive character role," Leewin asked eagerly. "Really? Was my acting that good?" Rosaline showered her with praise. "It was amazing. Those 5 years of practice were totally worth it." Hearing that, she was overjoyed. "Really? So, does that mean I can stop now?" Rosaline replied, "Yeah, you can take a break from acting practice now. I told you I was raising a monster." She had agreed that they could speak informally when it was just the two of them. The result of 5 years of special training to become an obsessive character was the two of them hugging happily. It's all thanks to having an amazing teacher. It's all thanks to my amazing and perfect teacher. A few hours later, a magnificent mansion shone brightly under a starry sky. Inside, Leewin and Rosaline were chatting. She slowly began, "I can't believe it's been 5 years since I was transmigrated." "Time really flies," Rosaline agreed. "Yeah, it has. And for me, it's been 22 years. If you count my past life, I'm basically an old hag." Leewin smiled, teasing her in response. "Want this old soldier to teach you a lesson? Anyway, why do you treat the cold palace like it's your personal room?" She answered casually, "Well, nobody here makes me act all prim and proper like a noble, and I don't have to wear a restrictive dress. Honestly, it's more comfortable than my own room in the Imperial Palace." "Oh right, speaking of which, things are about to kick off. Savian is coming to the cold palace," Leewin asked with a smile. "Are you that excited?" Rosaline's voice was full of excitement. "Of course I am! He's my number 2 favorite character, Savian. I wonder how handsome he'll be in real life. I've only imagined him from reading the story. I'm so excited." Leewin found that a little strange. "Number 2 favorite?" she asked. "Didn't you used to say Savian was your number 1 favorite?" Rosaline shot back quickly. "Haven't you heard that a woman's heart is fickle? My number 1 favorite changed a long time ago." Leewin was curious. "Who is it?" Rosaline replied evasively, "It's a secret. It's someone really cool and kind." She thought to herself, "My secret number 1 is someone really cool and kind." While Leewin was still looking puzzled, Rosaline brought the conversation back on track. "But more importantly, according to the original story, a war is about to start soon," Leewin asked. "Just to be sure, you mean the war in the story, where Savian gets taken as a prisoner to the Highland Empire, right?" She answered curtly, "That's the one." Leewin fell silent for a long moment, lost in her own calculations. "A war? I heard that the male lead of the story, Kalian, deliberately arranged for the Highland Empire to win, but why do I have such a bad feeling about it?" Noticing the anxiety written all over her face, Rosaline tried to reassure her. "You don't have to make such a serious face. It's just a war that'll be over before you know it." Hearing Rosaline say that the war would just blow over, she couldn't believe her ears. "What? Blow over? I'm the commander of the entire army. How can I not care?" That attitude of hers stung a little. "Ow, come on. It's a war where none of the main characters even appear. Why are you being so serious?" Rosaline's words seemed to snap Leewin out of it. She tried to explain her concerns, but ever since I became a swordmaster, my intuition has never been wrong. I feel uneasy about something. Rosaline could no longer stay calm and blurted out, "Sister, stop it. You're making me worried too. In the original story, this is nothing to worry about." Leewin's face fell. "Okay, I'll stop. That's right, Rosaline is never wrong, so I shouldn't worry," she reassured herself. This uneasy feeling must just be paranoia. It was a beautiful morning. In the Imperial Palace of the Ba Empire, where shimmering rays of sunlight illuminated every corner, creating a tranquil atmosphere that was shattered by the sound of someone's voice. The Emperor of Highland died early, and the Crown Prince has already ascended the throne. And yet, I am still just the Crown Prince of the Ba Empire, Kalian Ba. At this thought, he seethed with irritation. I've already seized all the Imperial power, long ago, but those damn factions keep trying to hold me back. How annoying. The steward bowed and spoke respectfully. "Your Highness Kalian, if what's troubling you are the Second Prince and the Grand Duke, the ones aiming for the throne, why not start a war with the Highland Empire and send them to the front lines?" His expression remained unchanged as he replied nonchalantly. "You mean let our enemies slaughter each other?" The steward replied respectfully. "Precisely, Your Highness. If we support the Grand Duke, who holds sway over the military, as soon as the war breaks out, he will move to solidify the position of the second prince he supports. He will surely send that naive prince to the battlefield." He was pleased with the steward's suggestion. "That's true. Even with the Grand Duke's help, if a foolish prince, who knows nothing about strategy is made the commander, the outcome is already obvious. Indeed, and if we take that opportunity to use black magic to kill them, and then disguise it as an accident in battle, no one will suspect a thing. And even if something goes wrong, there's still the renowned Duke Lee Win guarding the border. They definitely won't be able to make it back." He closed his eyes, calculating every move. "If so, everything might be resolved more easily then," I thought. "First, there's the spy I planted in the Highland Empire. What is that? What's all that noise?" The sound coming from a boat on the lake caught his attention. Huh? That child is... The surrounding maids were showering him with endless praise. Lord Savian, you are so beautiful. Even if we searched the entire continent, no one could compare to your beauty, Lord Savian. The steward, looking in that direction, spoke up. Ah, that is the 8th prince, Savian. Kalian raised an eyebrow in surprise. Savian? The steward replied gently. Yes, he has grown even more beautiful lately, he said with a scornful voice. That weak child with no backing is still alive? His mind began to scheme. How should I deal with that useless prince? The corners of Kalian's lips curled into a smirk. Well, with a face that pretty, he'd probably fetch a good price if we sold him to the barbarians. The steward immediately objected. You can't. He is a prince, after all. It's a matter of the Empire's honor. Kalian muttered to himself. The Empire's honor? Then, the steward made a suggestion. How about sending him to the Highland Empire as a prisoner of war? The 8th prince, Savian, was famous across the continent for his beauty. Moreover, despite being a prince, he was also trained to serve in bed. With no power in the palace, he was helpless. How about we send Savian as a prisoner of war and use him as a spy? If we use him well, we could destabilize the entire imperial family of the Highland Empire. Besides, according to... They say Princess Hylian and Duchess Lee Win have a special relationship, so before they can form a marriage alliance, we can send Savian to seduce them. Kalian was surprised by the information the butler provided. Oh, an alliance between the royal family and a ducal house? His eyes were as cold as ice, filled with cunning calculations. It's true that if the Hellen Empire's royal power grows stronger, then my position when I become emperor will be in jeopardy. Looking towards Savian, Kalian spoke, full of confidence. Yes, whether it's the crown prince or the duchess, if that child wants to seduce someone, they will definitely fall for him. Then let's send the 8th prince to Duchess Leewin. If the duchess is captivated by him and defects to BH, all the better. The butler exclaimed in alarm. What? How can we possibly bring an enemy duchess over to our kingdom? Kalian's voice was deep and cold, laced with a hint of arrogance. So what, as the youngest genius swordswoman, wouldn't she be useful to our empire? Besides, I also want to test my skills against her in a match. Might as well drop by the Hellen Empire for a visit, right? The man's face turned pale, his voice trembling. Don't tell me you're planning to go to the battlefield yourself? If the 2nd prince and the Grand Duchess die on the battlefield, the youngest genius swordswoman, wouldn't she be useful to our empire? Besides, I also want... His voice remained indifferent. Why are you so surprised? I'll just go in secret. The youngest genius swordswoman, wouldn't she be useful to our empire? Besides, I also want... You will be the first one they suspect. Seeing the butler's fearful attitude, in the princess's royal garden, the quiet atmosphere was suddenly disturbed by the whispering of the maids. Look over there, oh my gosh, she's... Leewin glanced at them in confusion. Huh? Rosalind, sitting across from her, spoke up. See, everyone believes that we're... Look at the duchess's gaze, it's as sweet as honey. To be loved by someone as dashing as Duchess Burwen, I'm so jealous of the princess. She clasped her hands in front of her chest, a confident smile on her face. Perfect. Now it's time to start the plan to save the world. Dating. Leewin smiled, her gentle gaze fixed on Rosaline. You were right, it's exactly as you said. An obsessive, crazy male lead. And so, the rumor about the princess and the duchess spread throughout the royal palace. In the hazy atmosphere, Rosaline lifted her face, her cheeks blushing, and whispered to Leewin, hurry up and hug me passionately, like... And the plan Rosaline came up with after hearing those rumors was to create the Tame Savian with Sympathy project. The duchess, in shock, becomes vulnerable in front of Savian, and Savian, feeling soft-hearted, comes to comfort the duchess. A brief explanation of the plan. The princess, who is dating the duchess, secretly has an affair with another man behind the duchess's back. Leewin blushed as she looked at Savian, crying out with longing, Your Highness, please look only at me. Savian, flustered, stammered, Yes, of course. And then the duchess's heart begins to flutter for Savian. In a romantic setting, and so, the duchess begins to pursue Savian intensely. Savian falls for the duchess who is crazy about him, and he, her eyes sparkling as she exclaimed, The plan is ready, now it all depends on your acting. Leewin looked a little tense, and replied softly, Okay, I'll do my best. She forced a smile and sighed internally. One moment it's an obsessive male lead, and now I have to play the tragic male lead. Can I even pull this off? Suddenly, Leewin's face darkened, and she muttered in a serious tone, This is going to be tough. Seeing Rosalind was fun, but these damn acting lessons are completely draining me. Can I just rest for a little while? She enjoyed the brief moment of peace. It was so relaxing, but it seemed like someone's shadow was approaching. As they got closer to Leewin, she opened her eyes, turned to the newcomer, and said, You're here, Lysias? He replied softly, Hello, Leewin, you're not sleeping? I approached quietly because I thought you were asleep. Leewin said, Come sit over here, I was just resting my eyes. Lysias sat down right next to her. His words held a hint of concern. But are you still having trouble sleeping? Leewin scratched her head shyly and replied, Not at all. Hearing Lysias ask that, she wondered to herself, How did he know I have insomnia? Did I tell him? As a man in this world, I couldn't avoid it since I was young. Going to the battlefield, ever since the first time I killed someone out there, I haven't been able to sleep well. Because the people who died by my hand keep haunting my dreams, but to keep living in this world, I'll probably have to endure that in the future too. Lysias reached his hand out, gently calling her name. Leewin, you're safe now, just rest. His sudden actions stunned Leewin. Lysias spoke in a warm voice. Do you want to rest here? I'll give you the honor of resting on the Emperor's lap. Leewin smiled. What's this? If so, I'll accept that honor. Without any hesitation, this is so comfortable. As she lay there with her eyes closed, she thought to herself, Rosaline should meet a man. Someone sensitive and kind like this, even if it's just a fake relationship, I can't help but worry. I wonder if there's anyone suitable? Oh right. Now that I think about it, there is someone. The eldest son of the ducal Marquess family, where they have a tradition of holding the position of prime minister for generations, the young Duke Joseph Marquess. The last time I spoke with him, he seemed mature and very responsible, and he's handsome too. I hear he's very popular with the young ladies. He is a wonderful future duke. I should tell Rosaline about him next time. Meanwhile, Lysias smiled gently and stroked her head. Go to sleep. But Leewin still tossed and turned, perhaps because she'd relieved some of her worries. The sunlight today is so gentle. So for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can actually get a good, sound sleep. The scenery around them was peaceful and warm. Lysias gently stroked Leewin's hair as if to protect her and take care of her. She rested her head against him, all the tension vanishing from her face. His eyes gazed at her, captivated and full of happiness. Lysias told himself, for the past 5 years, I've tried to ignore the rumors about the princess. After all, there was nothing I could do anyway, but now you're here by my side, and that's all that matters. There was the sound of someone approaching, shattering their private moment. Your Majesty, I have something to report. The color drained from Lysias's face. The smile vanished from his lips, replaced by an icy voice. I gave an order that no one was to come anywhere near this place. The knight trembled in fear and replied, My apologies, but there is an urgent dispatch. We have just received a report that the BH Empire's army is advancing on the territory of Count HS An. He scoffed. You came to see me for such a trivial emergency? Then can't we just send reinforcements? The Shadow Knight continued, unable to hide his anxiety. But in the Ba Empire's army, he saw Crown Prince Kalian. He looked down at Leewin, who was still fast asleep, that notorious Kalian Bahad, known for his cruelty, is coming in person. He couldn't help but worry, if Kalian, who had reached the level of a true swordmaster, takes the field himself, Leewin will surely insist on going along, even though she still suffers from post-war nightmares every night. I have to make sure Leewin doesn't find out about this. A few days later, the news reached Leewin, and she silently fumed that the Hassan territory was under attack, yet Lysias still hadn't dispatched troops. I am the guardian of the border. She strode up to the guard and ordered, I have an urgent matter to report to His Majesty. Open the gate. He bowed respectfully and replied, My deepest apologies, but His Majesty has given strict orders forbidding your entry. Leewin found it hard to believe and asked again, What? In her heart, she was incredibly frustrated. Not only did he hide the attack on the Count's territory, but he's also refusing to see me. What in the world is Lysias thinking? This isn't like the original story. Kalian is participating in the battle directly, so the outcome of the war is no longer certain. To capture Savian as a prisoner of war like in the original story, I have to take the field myself and turn the tide of this battle. Leewin stood outside, knocking on the door repeatedly and yelling, Your Majesty, the command system in the Count's territory is in chaos, and you know how formidable the Crown Prince of the Bahad Empire is. Therefore, I must personally lead the charge for the safety of the Empire. Please grant me permission to go to battle. What are you all doing? Let me go. Lysias instantly raised his head. He ordered the guards, Release Duke Burgen. A guard hesitated. Your Majesty. As the guards let go, Leewin quickly strode towards Lysias. She questioned him sharply. What is the meaning of this? You're excluding me from the force to stop Kalian again? You know I'm the only one who can stand against him. Lysias answered softly. If you go, you'll be hurt again. Leewin, bewildered by what she had just heard, asked, Huh? What did you just say? Lysias relented. Fine. I permit you to march to battle. Lee Win Zeberwen, do whatever you want. Leewin suddenly felt a shiver at Lysias's change in attitude. The atmosphere around him and his voice had changed completely. Is this the Lysias from the original story? The one I had only heard about? It was bone-chillingly cold. Just as Rosaline said. Leewin turned to leave, then looked back at Lysias, her voice becoming serious again. Then let's prepare for deployment first. The situation is urgent. We can talk later. He bowed his head, calling out gently, Leewin, please don't hate me too much. Leewin froze, a thought popping into her head. Wait, his voice is trembling excessively. Could it be? Lysias looked at her, his eyes filled with pain, as tears streamed down his cheeks. Leewin immediately ran to him. She put her hands on his shoulders, consoling him. What are you talking about? How could I ever hate you? I'm just worried the Imperial soldiers will get hurt, so please stop crying. He spoke in a choked voice. Leewin, do you also remember the old days? She replied awkwardly. Yeah. Lysias began to recall excitedly. Whenever I cried, you always hugged me, to comfort me. Flashing back to their childhood, Lysias always felt dejected. I lost to you in a sword match again. And Leewin would come over to comfort him. Don't cry anymore. Leewin remembered that memory clearly. That's right, as a child, Lysias. You were such a crybaby, and it looks like you haven't changed much, huh? He took her hand and answered shyly, You're right about that, Leewin. I'm still the same Lysias Midas, so you'll comfort me again, won't you, Leewin? Blushing so hard, huh? Her mind raced with questions. What is this? Am I imagining things? Is he hitting on me? As Lysias's best friend, I should just comfort him. It's definitely not because I like him or anything. She pulled him into an embrace, her voice gentle and warm. Of course, we're best friends. Lysias leaned his head against her, calling out hesitantly, Leewin, you're leaving for the Marquisate of Hassan at dawn, aren't you? She pulled him into an embrace, her voice gentle and warm. Of course, we're best friends, Lysias leaned. She pulled him into an embrace, her voice gentle and warm. Of course, we're best friends, Lysias leaned. Silent night. Leewin lay awake in bed. While at his desk, Lysias was still concentrating on his work, his head against her, calling out hesitantly, Leewin, you're leaving for the Marquisate of Hassan at dawn, aren't you? To Lysias's tests. Even since we were kids. Noticing she was still awake, Lysias turned to remind her, you have to leave at dawn, right? His head against her, calling out hesitantly, Leewin, you're leaving for the Marquisate of Hassan at dawn, aren't you? Come over here, let's sleep together. Lysias clenched his fists, holding back, and replied with a gentle smile, I'm fine. I still have a lot of work to do. Leewin relented. Fine, but you should get some sleep and not overdo it. She fretted inwardly. A man so devoted to the Empire is being called an obsessive madman? Poor Lysias. A few minutes later, Leewin was fast asleep. Silent night. Leewin lay awake in bed. While at his desk, Lysias was still concentrating on his work. He said shyly, having Leewin sleep in my bed is more intense than I thought. It's so hard to resist. No, get a grip, Lysias. I need to focus on my work. The next day, I led the Burgen Knights toward the border wall. After 4 consecutive days of riding, we finally reached the territory of Count Hassan. A knight at the gate shouted, even if you're here as reinforcements, you still have to pay the toll to enter. If you don't have any money, turn back. The knight beside Leewin turned and whispered, Your Grace. What should we do? Leewin thought in annoyance, we came all this way to help and we haven't even slept. She faced the wall and spoke in an icy tone. Hey you, do I look like an ordinary knight? The knights were stunned for a moment. One of them scowled. What's he talking about? He's clearly just putting on a tough act. The other one's face suddenly went pale, his voice trembling. Hey, wait a minute. That silver hair? Don't tell me. Isn't that Duke Lee Win Zeberwen? The other guy was instantly shocked. What? Leewin's gaze turned sharp as she said threateningly, I will not tolerate any more of this insolence. Stop wasting time and open the gate immediately. The knight was now terrified. Oh crap, it really is her. I heard that she wasn't supposed to be joining this war. Open the gate, hurry! The gate was opened, and Leewin ordered her knights. All right, everyone, head in. A knight from behind expressed his admiration. That's her grace for you. She handled that so quickly. She, however, was still stewing over what just happened. Why are they so stingy? Even the Allied forces couldn't imagine how chaotic the situation was inside. Besides, to lead a place like this, the knights inside the castle seemed to have seen Knight Leewin's company advancing. Look, a company of knights has just arrived. Another person realized, wait a minute, that person, isn't that Leewin? She announced with a booming voice. My comrades, listen to me. You have all bravely endured the enemy's attacks all this time. Now, I, Lee Win Zeberwen, guardian of the border, will fight alongside you. This war will end in our victory. She thought to herself that the most important thing was to make an impression. Everyone cheered loudly. It's the guardian of the border. The legendary swordmaster has arrived. It's as if we've already won. Leewin thought to herself. This is so embarrassing. But Rosaline said the main storyline is about to start. Rosaline's advice echoed in her mind. Sis, if you want to save the world, even the way you breathe has to look cool. Savian could appear at any moment. She obediently replied, all right, I get it. Leewin wondered to herself. Already won, Leewin thought to herself. This is so embarrassing. But Rosaline said the main storyline is about to start. Meanwhile, outside the castle, sunlight filtered through the trees and blades of grass on the mountainside. Savian seemed to be gazing into the distance toward someone. He spoke with slight hesitation. Isn't that Duke Burgen? It's too far to see clearly, but to be able to gather so many people in the blink of an eye. They say Savion Bachat, the 8th prince, can't even compare to this. Suddenly, from a distance, a voice echoed. Where did the 8th prince run off to? Spread out and find Savion. Feeling a little reluctant, he thought, I wanted to watch her a little longer, but escaping is the priority now. Leewin had no idea, she didn't realize, that she had unintentionally captivated Savion. Inside the barracks, shouts rang out. This is a surprise attack from the Hessen clan. Help the 2nd prince with his armor. Where are the reinforcements, your highness? A soldier rushed to report. 2nd prince, we've just received word that Countess Lee Win has joined the battle. The 2nd prince of the Bachat Empire, Kalian, exclaimed in shock. What? The countess? Why would she? Everyone hurriedly suggested. Please let us handle the battlefield, your highness. You must quickly retreat to safety. That's right, there's nothing I can do against a master swordswoman anyway, Kalian witnessed this scene and sneered. A prince running away just because a master swordswoman appeared. What a sight. A soldier heard him and shouted, Who the hell are you, you bastard? How dare you speak to his highness that way? He glanced at them and said coldly, I'll handle things here, so you can just get lost, you coward. Kalian, you. What are you doing? I told you to scram. Then, Kalian awkwardly turned away, saying, I'll be going then. At that moment, he was thinking to himself, so it's finally time to meet the renowned Countess Lee Win. I've always wondered what kind of person she is to be so favored by the proud emperor of Helen. I wonder what's under that helmet. I wonder. Then Kalian suddenly spoke up. Well then, soldiers, just fighting a battle like this is a bit boring, don't you think? So why not make a fun little bet? Whoever removes Countess Lee Win's helmet will receive an unparalleled reward. Anything in this world. Hearing him say that, the soldiers got excited. There she is. Countess Lee Win. Take off her helmet. We have the upper hand. Don't back down. It's the Countess. I'll do it. No, I won't do it. Lee Win. began to panic as she saw them advance. Now's the time, everyone charge! She couldn't believe what was happening. What the hell is going on? How is this possible? Weren't they just scattering in chaos a moment ago? Why are they all charging at me now? Just as her helmet was pulled off, Leewin cried out as the heavy helmet fell to the ground. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but gasp in admiration. She stared at them blankly. What's going on? I can't believe it, they were that excited, yet they haven't even scratched me. While Kalian silently stared at Leewin, he couldn't help but sigh. How strange. It's as if a spotlight is shining just on her. What is this feeling? Just as her helmet was pulled off, Leewin cried out as the heavy helmet fell to the ground. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help. The scene shifts to a luxurious room adorned with beautiful paintings. She raised a hand to her temple, sighing. Leewin thought to herself, normally they're too scared to even come near me, yet today they all aimed for my head, but it didn't seem like they were trying to cut my throat. Leewin realized the important part. In any case, the battle is over now. So next, let's discuss how we'll handle the Empire's thief. Shall we, Count? Dato, the head of House Hassan, Dato Hassan, said tremblingly. A thief? There must be some kind of misunderstanding. She stood up and said, a misunderstanding? We investigated why a battle that should have ended in half a day dragged on for more than 1 week, and we discovered the person who gave the order to prevent a victorious end to the war was none other than Count Hassan. All the signs point to you as the culprit. He hurriedly denied it. That's impossible. Please let me explain. Leewin then spoke coldly. Explain what? The story about a lord who used his own people as human shields? Or the story of you betraying the Empire to side with the Keolians? Just then, the door opened and a voice called out, Duchess, urgent news. She immediately demanded, what is it? The subordinate hastily reported, BH has admitted defeat and proposed a treaty, but the representative from BH to sign the treaty is Prince Kalian. Leewin was not expecting this information. Kalian. That night in her quarters, a troubled Leewin leaned back in her chair. Now what am I supposed to do? The second prince has fled, and BH has signaled its surrender, which is good, but Kalian is the one coming to sign the treaty. She remembered asking not long ago, by the way, who exactly is Kalian? As a person? Rosaline had said hesitantly. If I had to sum him up in one sentence, he's a demon who wouldn't hesitate to kill even children. He'll do anything as long as he can keep Savian for himself. I mean, he has actual demon blood in him. Right now, Leewin thought anxiously. I'm not mentally prepared to meet him yet. A demon? That's terrifying. It really is. Suddenly, a voice from outside caught her attention. Hey, are you really planning to meet the Duke looking like that? Are you seriously trying to seduce him? I had to sell all my dresses and jewelry to buy weapons. Who told you to go to such extremes? Demia said casually from outside. So what? Are you going to send the villagers to war with their bare hands? Dito tried to remind her. Calm down. I am the Count of Hessen. Not you. You should be trying to marry a high-ranking nobleman for the family's benefit. That's more like it. In the end, she compromised. All right, I'll give it a try. She leaned against the door, stunned. Did he just tell her to seduce me? I'm in the room right next door, you know? After the interrogation, I should have kicked Hassan out. Is Kalian really trying to atone by using her younger sister? Just then, Demia called from outside the door. Duke, your grace? Are you in there? Leewin was even more surprised. She's really here to seduce me. What should I do? I can't just leave a lady standing outside the door. So she composed herself and opened the door. What is it? The girl awkwardly asked. Excuse me, may I come in? For a moment? Suddenly, Duke Lee Win's eyes widened as she realized something. Wait a minute. Isn't she Demia, the main villainess from the legend of Bivalus? Long orange hair, a proud beauty, with a cat-like charm, but behind that facade is the most ruthless villainess. That's what Rosaline once said. She couldn't help but marvel. Who would have thought Demia was the daughter of House Hassan? I'm going to lose my mind. First Kalian, and now Demia. Leewin rubbed her forehead helplessly. My lady, I sincerely apologize, but I'm very tired. Perhaps another time. But unexpectedly, Demia rushed into the room and grabbed her hand. Leewin was confused as Demia closed the door, my lady? She grew even more puzzled. What is this? What's with this overwhelming attitude? Is this the true aura of a villainess? So Leewin reminded her, my lady, this is highly improper. I have sworn my loyalty to the princess. But Demia spoke calmly. Duke Lee Win, please, I beg of you. Our innocent people are dying. Please help House Hedson. If I want to stop my father and my brother, I need the backing of someone as powerful as you. She was stunned. Lady Demia. Leewin was panicking internally. What is this? Did I miss something? Come to think of it, the plot has already deviated quite a bit from the original story. A moment ago, when I overheard her, she was genuinely worried about the villagers. Then she tremblingly proposed, I will be your mistress or anything you want, as long as you. Hearing this, she gritted her teeth. It's so cold, and yet she's wearing something so thin. Even though I'm living as a man, it's clear she has also suffered a great deal. Maybe Demia became a villainess because it was the only way to protect the villagers from the Count. I can't just turn a blind eye anymore. So, Leewin said coldly, I have no intention of making you my mistress. Demia pleaded in a panic. Duke, please, reconsider. She quickly cut her off, but being partners is another matter entirely. Please, stand up. Demia was stunned by Leewin's words. What do you mean by that? She carefully explained. I mean that I will be on your side, and I expect you to be on mine as well. Demia mumbled in a daze. On your side, Leewin smiled and confirmed. We are allies now, so why don't we start? By getting revenge on the one who made you kneel not just one, but 2 times? Meanwhile, in Dito's room, he held a glass of wine in satisfaction. If my sister really seduces the Duke, this whole war business might just be erased completely. Or what? Do you want to be completely erased? Dito panicked as he was shoved. You, how dare you? The Duke, Lee Win, calmly spoke up. Count, I've been running all over the battlefield without a moment's rest, and yet you're lying, sprawled out as if you're on vacation. He hurriedly explained. That's not it at all, she said coldly. Oh really? You seem to have a lot of free time, so you can wait on me. Dito's face turned pale. Wait on you, Your Grace? How could I do such a menial task? Lee Win then placed her foot on the table. Is waiting on me a menial task? Then are you planning to have your sister, Lady Demia, do that demeaning work instead? Besides, you're well aware of the relationship between me and the princess, aren't you? His face went ashen. She asked coldly. Are you trying to use this to create friction between me and the royal family? Dito quickly denied it. No, Your Grace, you've misunderstood. I only wanted to help you relieve your fatigue. Upon hearing that, Lee Win burst out laughing. Is that so? In that case, I want you to serve me personally, and I'll have you know, my skin is extremely sensitive. I always use water from a crystal clear high mountain spring, so morning, noon, and night, you will fetch water from that stream over there. He stared blankly in the direction. She pointed. That stream? But that's a 2-hour walk. Her face darkened. Go ahead and refuse if you want to go to prison. You'll have plenty of free time in there, and we can talk all about what really happened with the War Support Fund, provided by His Majesty. Terrified, Dito trembled. No, I'll do it! Just then, the door to the room opened. In Lee Win's room, she looked at Demia in surprise. What are you doing here? Demia quickly explained. I was just so curious, so She laughed at that. No, that's not important. I just hope you're satisfied with this little revenge. By the way, lady, did you know something? Demia asked curiously. What? No what? Lee Win calmly stated. Your brother, the Count, has fallen into the hands of Crown Prince Kalian of the Bahat Empire. Demia couldn't believe it, exclaiming, What? What are you talking about? She immediately explained, I secretly investigated and discovered that Kalian is trying to eliminate his country's second prince through this war, to make it easier for him to claim the throne. For that, he needed an insider in the Highlands Empire, so he bribed Count Dito, a man renowned for his bottomless greed. She grew even more, panicked and blurted out, I had no idea. Lee Win gazed at Demia. I'm not blaming you, but if the royal family were to find out, first, your house would be charged with treason and wiped out. She looked as though she'd been struck by lightning, wiped out. Lee Win chuckled and continued, but because you're on my side, I want to protect you and your family. So help me find the evidence of Count Dito's betrayal, and I will take full responsibility for protecting your family. Demia stood there panicking, thinking, what should I do? Can I trust the Duke? But a man who would willingly push an innocent person to their death, just for the sake of greed. In the end, she shook Lee Win's hand and agreed, all right, Duke, I trust you. I'll help. On the day of the signing, she looked at the stack of papers in her hand and remarked, Lady Demia is more capable than I expected. With this much evidence, I can put pressure on Kalian directly. At that moment, Kalian appeared, greeting Lee Win. A pleasure to meet you, Duke. There was one thing Lee Win had to admit, I was overwhelmed by Kalian's aura. He's one of the original main characters. His presence is on a completely different level. Just then, he asked curiously, aren't you going to take off your helmet? Only then did Lee Win take her helmet off. He's someone I don't want to get involved with. But it would be too rude not to. Kalian calmly said, so shall we begin? She quickly replied, yes, let's begin. Take a look. This is the letter documenting your highness bribing Count Dito. Just then, he asked curiously, aren't you going to take off your helmet? Only then did Lee Win take her helmet off. He's someone I don't want to get involved with. Lee Win was even more confused by this. Why is he so confident? This letter could destroy him, so she didn't hold back anymore and asked directly, then let me ask one more thing. Besides the Count, do you have any other accomplices in the Highland Empire? Upon hearing Lee Win's question, Kalian fell silent. He just stared at her. That's not a question about me. Lee Win quickly sensed something was off. His eyes are turning red. Don't tell me this is what Rosaline warned me about. Asked directly, then let me ask one more thing. Besides the Count, do you have any other accomplices? He has demon's blood in him. His eyes are turning red, so be careful. Then Kalian slowly stood up. So how about this? I will answer that question if you agree to become my knight. He gripped Leewin's chin tightly, and her heart began to pound. After a moment of silence, she blurted out, Just then, a soldier outside announced, Your Highness, please forgive me for interrupting the negotiations, but I have an urgent matter to report. Leewin hurriedly dodged Kalian's hand. What the heck? I almost agreed. The man said awkwardly, this is extremely urgent. Kalian reluctantly agreed. All right. The soldier quickly whispered in his ear, Your Highness, the 8th prince went missing on his way here. She was startled to hear it. The 8th prince isn't that Savian, the original male lead? He stated the important matter, he's gone missing. Lee Win felt like she was struck by lightning. Savian is missing. According to the original story, Savian should still be in the imperial capital of Bahat. But Kalian just laughed and said, Your Highness isn't shaken at all. Hearing that news, I'm surprised you care about that little brat. For the Duke's sake, find him immediately. And drag him here. You can even break his legs. She felt a chill hearing that. Break his legs? He continued to command. Or you can just kill him. I don't care. The expression on Leewin's face changed. Kill him? Kalian noticed her expression and asked curiously, Duke, what in the world are you thinking? You're making a very strange face. No one knew what Leewin was thinking. What the hell? Is he treating a human life like a joke? He really is a demon. She regained her composure. Crown Prince Kalian, I don't think I can become your highness's knight. I respect my emperor, who is a benevolent man. Hearing this, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. Kalian's laughter grew louder. Your emperor is benevolent? Leewin wondered. What the heck? Why is he laughing like that? There's no one as benevolent as our Lysius. He remarked, You're truly naive. Or is your emperor just a clever man? Fine, I'll do as you say. I will change the order. Do not kill him. The soldier replied, Yes, I understand. Kalian continued, As you've heard, due to a matter on our side, it seems our negotiations cannot continue. We shall meet again later, she heard him, and replied, Understood. When Leewin stepped outside, the Shadow Knight asked curiously, Duke, did the negotiations go well? She immediately replied, It's been postponed. They said they'll reschedule. The long-haired soldier gritted his teeth. Those barbarians. I didn't expect much from them anyway. He sighed and asked, So now are we? Shall we return to the castle? Leewin quickly refused. No, I have to find someone first. The Shadow Knight asked in confusion, I'm sorry, but why all of a sudden? Her hands clenched into fists. If everything goes according to Rosaline's plan, I shouldn't be meeting Savian yet. But if I leave him alone right now, who knows what could happen? So first I have to find him. Therefore Leewin loudly commanded, The 8th Prince of the BH Empire has gone missing in this area. Search the entire area and bring him back immediately. In a tent inside the barracks, Kalian wearily leaned back. This demonic power is completely uncontrollable. The blood of a demon flows throughout my body. My mother, the Empress of the Empire, was tired of the Emperor who had dozens of concubines, and she had to live through lonely days. At that time a demon appeared, seduced my mother, and they had a secret affair. In the end, between the two of them, I was born, carrying the blood of a demon in my veins. He thought coldly. Thanks to my mother being so good at hiding it, even though I don't share the Emperor's bloodline like my other siblings, I was still able to claim the position of Crown Prince. Just then, Batu's voice was heard from outside. Your Highness, may I come in? Are you trying to suppress that power again? But Your Highness, that is a special gift bestowed only upon someone of noble blood like you. Why don't you just accept it now? Batu the Dark Mage. After hearing this, Kalian laughed and asked, Noble, you say? Calling demon blood noble? What a joke. He closed his eyes and said, I'll handle it myself. So what did you come here for? He asked curiously. Did you feel anything during the negotiations? Kalian exclaimed in confusion. Feel what? Why don't you just accept it now? Batu the Dark Mage. After hearing this, Kalian laughed and asked, Noble, you say? Calling demon blood noble? What a joke. He closed his eyes and said, I'll handle it myself. So what did you come here for? Honestly, Duke Lee Win is an interesting man. No wonder I keep wanting to possess him. Scene change, a vast grassland. Savian panted as he walked. While he wasn't paying attention, he twisted his ankle. As his heavy body fell, Savian couldn't help but cry out. He held his leg with both hands. It hurts so much. Did I break my leg when I fell while escaping? Just then, a voice rang out, startling Savian. Get the prince over there. Catch him. Break his leg so he can't run anymore. He looked back in a panic. Are those Brother Kalian soldiers? They've already caught up to me. What do I do now? Then, a whip came down hard. Savian shut his eyes in panic. Please, someone please save me. He blankly opened his eyes. What? What was that sound? Savian stared in shock at Leewin, who was standing tall right in front of him. Wait, that armor and that aura. Could it be Duke Lee Win? At that moment, he asked with concern. Are you all right? He recognized the voice immediately. It really is the Duke. I've heard this voice before. Savian politely offered his thanks, but he suddenly felt strange. But why is my head so dizzy? Leewin quickly caught Savian as he was about to fall. Your Highness? He checked his condition. Did he faint? Still, it's a good thing I arrived in time. Otherwise, the main character of the original story would have died before the story even began. But now, was I really supposed to go looking for Savian? Rosaline will probably be angry that I went against her plan. According to plan. So Leewin, with tears in her eyes, said that now they had to find a safe place. A few hours later, she arrived in front of a house. There must be an abandoned house around here somewhere. Found it. Leewin gently placed him down on the bed. Just then, Savian let out a faint gasp in his delirium, and she stared at him, thinking, now I understand why Rosaline chose Savian as her favorite. Even as a woman myself, he's not just handsome, he's breathtaking. Savian suddenly groaned. Ah, it hurts. Seeing that, Leewin quickly reminded herself, oh no, now is not the time to be swooning over a guy. His leg is too swollen, I have to give it some first aid. So she found a clean cloth and picked it up. Leewin started to bandage his leg, but even with treatment, he probably wouldn't be able to walk for a while. After finishing the bandage, she let out a sigh. I'm exhausted. Then, Leewin thought to herself, it's only been a few days, but so much has happened. I never thought I would meet not only Kalian but also Savian. According to the original plan, I was supposed to meet him in the Highland Empire. To be safe, I was going to hide my face under my helmet. I'll have to ask Rosaline what to do. Next, she'll definitely come up with a new plan. Far away, Rosalind suddenly felt something strange. What is this? Why do I suddenly have a chill down my spine? Leewin suddenly felt something odd in her body. and for a while now, I've been feeling so sleepy. It must be my chronic insomnia catching up with me. I can't fall asleep now. Kalian soldiers could still be around. Here. In the end, she couldn't fight it and drifted off to sleep. Later that night, strange sounds made Lee Win jolt awake. What was that sound? Savian? She frantically held onto Savian's body. Your Highness, what is happening? Please, hold on, Your Highness. At that moment, he became conscious and pleaded, please hold me. Please just hold me. A flustered Duke Lee Win embraced El Savion. What is this? Why is he suddenly clinging to me? Should I push him away? What is this? Savion's breathing seems to be more stable, and his fever has gone down too? My spiritual power is being absorbed by Savion. Don't tell me my power is healing him. I don't know why, but for now, I'll just keep holding him. She took off her helmet and set it on the ground. Leewin wrapped her arms around his waist, holding Savion close to comfort him. This feels so strange. No, this is a necessary sacrifice for the world. The warm rays of the early morning sun streamed into the cabin at the edge of the woods. He groggily opened his eyes, and Savion sat up while holding his head. Where am I? I think I heard something. Duke Burgen, why are you here? Come to think of it, he was the one who saved me. When I was being chased by my brother's knights, why would he help a complete stranger? He's much stronger than, the rumors said. His own voice echoed in his head. Hold me. A confused Savion thought to himself, but what is this memory? His memory was distorted. Hold me, Duke Burgen. Savion blushed in embarrassment. Wait, did I do that to the person who just saved my life? I finally got to meet the Duke, whom I had only heard about in rumors. And yet, the first time we meet. I should get out of here before he wakes up. The moment he put his foot down, he slipped and fell to the floor. Ah, Leewin jolted awake. She reflexively wrapped her arms around El Savion. He blushed as he looked up, as Leewin asked, Are you okay? Your leg isn't fully healed yet. You need to be careful, Savion shyly replied. Ah, yes. He wondered in confusion. But I thought you were asleep? She cleared her throat and declared, I realize I haven't properly introduced myself. I am the Duke Lee Win Zeberwen of the Highland Empire. Savion stammered in reply. I am Leewin Sen. She cut in. I already know. You're Prince Savion of the Bahat Empire, right? He answered shyly like a young maiden. Yes, I am Savion Bahat. Savion was secretly surprised. The Duke knows who I am? She gently examined his wound. It must be difficult for you to walk with an injury like that. Your Highness, I think we should move to a safer place. And in my current condition, walking would indeed be difficult. Then, if you'll allow it. He was shy and flustered. Is it really okay for the Duke to be carrying me like this? But still, I think this might be the best day of my life. As soon as they were on the horse, she urged it to run. Leewin reined the horse to a stop when she heard two knights talking. Hurry! Her Grace is back! She was gone, for a while, so we were about to look for you. They raised their voices in greeting when they saw the two approach. Oh, could that be the prince? Savion stammered shyly. About that. The three knights' eyes widened and sparkled, as they were captivated by him. So beautiful! They huddled together and whispered, I can't believe it! He's the most beautiful person I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone so divinely beautiful. I want to get closer for a better look. The knights flinched and backed away at the horse's reaction and the sharp sound of her angry voice. How dare you speak so disrespectfully in front of the prince? They apologized in unison. We are sore. RIY. Leewin pointed at them and ordered, That's enough. Send a telegram to the Bahat Empire at once. Tell them that I have the 8th prince in my custody. Leewin swallowed and thought to herself, Rosaline told me Savian likes this sort of thing, so I scolded the knights a little too harshly. It seems he actually likes it. This is so embarrassing, but I guess I'll have to keep doing things like this to score points. I would never normally act this way. The blue-haired knight spoke up, asking, Your Grace, at the Count's mansion, should I tell them to prepare a room for the prince? Leewin ordered loudly. The prince will stay here with us, so set up a tent for him. She had her own reasons. I can't believe that Count Dito is in league with Kalian, so having him stay with us for a while is for the best, right? He reported hesitantly. In that case, there's a problem, because we rushed to the battlefield. There are no spare tents left, Leewin cried internally. Then, if I can't put Savion in the knight's tent, does that mean I have to share with him? And I can't be the only one to return to the is for the best, right? He reported hesitantly. In that case, there's a problem, because we Count's mansion. Savion hesitated, flustered. Your Grace, I don't mind staying in the same tent. It will be an honor to be by your side and protect you. Take the prince to my tent. Leewin thought miserably. What the heck? It's like I'm in some kind of play. He sat down on the bed and looked around. This is Duke Lee Win's tent? Savion felt a little bad, but I feel like I've only been a burden to her since yesterday. I want to do something to help her. Is that her? He stood up and pulled back the curtain to see someone enter carrying a bucket of water. Dato was panting heavily, just grumbling, damn it, this isn't a castle, and now you want me to haul water all the way back to this tent? Are you insane? Let's just desert to Bahat and be done with that damn Duke Burgen. Savion carefully watched the man, wondering who he was and why. He was in the Duke's tent? He jumped in shock when he saw Dato angrily spit into the bucket of water. Take that, P2E. Savion watched him run off and thought to himself, is that guy nuts? He just spat phlegm into it. Is he really the Duke's attendant? If I were her attendant, I would never do something like that. That floating thing. That must be his spit, right? He muttered awkwardly. I can't let her use this water. What should I do? Savian quickly made a decision and picked up the bucket. No, this could be my chance. That's right, for the amazing Duke, who saved me. This is my chance to repay her kindness. From now on, I'll be in charge of the Duke's water. Savian diligently carried the bucket out of the tent and poured out the dirty water with his own hands. He let out a sigh. This is heavier than I thought. He looked up, his eyes landing on a wooden cabin ahead. Savian observed it carefully. That's the cabin where I spent the night with the Duke. I didn't realize it was so close to the camp. Leewin's voice called out from behind him. Your Highness. He jumped, recognizing the voice. Could it be her? She walked up beside him and asked, What are you doing out here, Savian? He turned to see Leewin, the Duke. Her gaze fell upon the wound on his leg, and she reached out her hand. Give that to me, she offered. Carrying something that heavy will strain your leg. You should be resting more. Let's head back together, Savian mumbled in embarrassment. Yes, I'm sorry. He felt a pang of sadness. I only wanted to help her. Was that foolish of me? Soon the two of them arrived back at the camp. She dismounted her horse first, then helped Savian down. Let me get you. He thought in a fluster. Oh, what do I do now? I must have already made a terrible first impression, and now I've gone and wandered off on my own. This has surely displeased her. A knight suddenly rushed toward them. Your Grace. Leewin turned and asked, What is it? The man reported urgently. The Crown Prince of Bahat has proposed an informal treaty. Savian's face went pale with panic. My brother, if I go to him now then. He shyly grabbed her hand. Duke, please, I'm begging you, can you please not take me? To him? Leewin paused to think. Now that I think about it, Savian did run away from the Crown Prince. She spoke reassuringly. Don't worry. I brought you here to protect you, Your Highness. No matter what happens, I will keep you safe, so don't you worry. I will go meet with Crown Prince Kalian now. Savian's shoulders slumped as he mumbled, Yes, I understand. He touched his shoulder where Leewin's hand had been. Duke Burgen, for someone like me who was always looked down upon in the Bahat Empire, you are the first person to ever treat me with such kindness. She stood before the tent of the Bahat Empire's tyrant. Your Highness, Crown Prince Kalian and the Duke have arrived. Leewin lifted the tent flap and entered upon hearing Kalian's reply. Let them in. You're looking rather proper today. Not wearing that hat anymore? How refreshing. Well then, have a seat. She bowed politely. Yes. Inwardly, Leewin was judging him. What in the world is he wearing? Her hand clutched the negotiation proposal. Outwardly, Leewin remained silent, but inside her mind was racing as she judged his chest. It's so exposed. I honestly don't know where to look. He raised his wineglass and said, What are you thinking about so intently? Hand over that negotiation proposal, let me have a look, she carefully. I presented the negotiation papers to Kalian. Yes. A few minutes later, he rested his chin on his hand, reviewing the document. Clause 2 is too disadvantageous for us, as are 3, 5, 7, and 8. That goes for them too. It seems Helen is just a bunch of scammers. Leewin nodded thoughtfully. He saw right through all the clauses that were cunningly drafted in their favor. Kalian poured some wine and continued. However, for every glass of wine you drink, I will concede one clause. He watched nervously at the glass of red wine. He wants me to drink it, but I can't. Who knows what he did to that wine? Besides, if I get drunk, my mind will become muddled, and the dark magic could disappear. He rested his chin on his hand provocatively. So, what will it be? Leewin's expression darkened with hesitation. But I can't refuse. In my position as a Duke of the royal family, I can't just ignore it when the other party is actively making a concession. In the end, he decided to pick up the wine glass. I'll drink. As Leewin drank, he reminded himself, I'll have to detoxify it with my mana as I drink it. The corner of Kalian's mouth curled into a dangerous smirk. He pressured him to drink while continuing the discussion. Good, then let's negotiate clause 13 next, followed by 14, then 15, and 16. Half of these were trap clauses, and even though Leewin's face was flushed, he still persevered. I'll drink more for that one too. He picked up the glass and downed it in one go, and Leewin's vision began to blur. Oh no, I can't focus. I drank too fast and couldn't detoxify it in time. Kalian rushed over to catch him. Before he fell, he spoke gently. Be careful, don't fall. You could get hurt. Leewin was startled and bewildered. What? When did he get so close to me? Kalian thoughtfully wiped the wine from his lips. There's some wine. Right here. It goes so well with your red lips. I wonder if they taste as sweet as this wine. Leewin stammered in a daze. What? Are you trying to? He couldn't focus anymore. His stomach was churning, and his eyelids felt heavy. He asked with feigned concern, feeling dizzy. Are you? In that case, you can sleep in my bed. Leewin immediately refused. No, I'm fine. Now in. His mind, only one thought remained. Oh no, I need to circulate my mana faster. With that, Leewin placed a hand on his chest and jolted in surprise. Bewildered. What is this? I can't feel my mana. It's as if something is sealing it. Leewin lost his balance and fell into Kalian's arms. An image of him embracing Savian flashed through Kalian's mind, and his pupils dilated in surprise. Kalian's face flushed, and he gritted his teeth as his expression turned to anger. Duke, you can leave now. Leewin awkwardly pulled away from him. I apologize. Inwardly, he wondered, could it be that I made him uncomfortable? Because I, a man, hugged him like that? Leewin turned to leave and said, In that case, it seems our negotiations are concluded. I will take my leave now. Leaving Kalian alone in the tent radiating a murderous aura, he growled. Batu, where is the 8th prince at this moment? He stepped fearfully into the oppressive aura, trying his best to remain composed. Is something wrong, Your Highness? Kalian snarled, spitting out each word. I just saw a glimpse of the Duke's memories. Savian tried to seduce him. Batu asked in alarm. You read the Duke's mind? Surely you don't intend to kill the prince? His entire body was radiating immense hostility. His voice was chillingly cold. I covet the Duke, so I have no choice but to eliminate anyone who gets in my way. Batu thought in a panic. This killing intent is terrifying. He asked with concern. Your Highness, are you all right? Batu tensed up, sinking. Lost in thought, is this his true power? It's truly terrifying, but this power has never been unleashed like this before. Could it be that Duke Burgen is the key to turning him into a true demon? Let's test it. With that thought, he acted immediately. Your Highness, regarding the situation. The Duke is with the 8th Prince. If you kill him now, won't it be even harder to persuade the Duke to join our side? Furthermore, the Duke once said that he respects Emperor Helen's benevolence. He clenched his fist in anger. You're right. If I kill Savian, the Duke will no longer look upon me favorably. Batu carefully observed Kalian's reaction. His Highness's sinister aura has subsided. Just as I predicted, the Duke is the key. A knight rushed into the tent to report. Your Highness, please forgive my intrusion. There is urgent news. The Suho tribe is advancing on the capital of the Empire. Your Highness, you must return immediately. He asked in shock. What? Why would the Suho tribe suddenly act like this? Kalian gritted his teeth in anger. He thought resentfully, this must be Emperor Helen's scheme to end the war quickly and force the Duke to return home. And they call that cunning bastard benevolent? How ridiculous. Kalian gave an order. Batu, tell Savian to go to the Helen Empire as a prisoner and seduce the Emperor. Tell him he must drive a wedge between the Emperor and the Duke, but he absolutely must not touch the Duke. He bowed respectfully, watching his retreating back. Yes, I understand. Kalian sighed wearily. Then the rest of us will return home at once. The knight accepted the order. Understood. Batu's true nature was revealed after he left. I am sorry, but for the sake of your awakening, I cannot obey the order that you just gave. Please understand that everything I do is for your sake. The light of the full moon shone down, illuminating the night. Leewin had just left the camp when she returned to her female form. She staggered as she walked. This is bad. My mana flow is blocked so I can't sober up. Now that the dark magic is gone, I must quickly change back into a man. Oh, over there is the tent I shared with Savian before. That's right, I can't go back to the camp looking like this, so I'll just have to rest here for one night. Leewin carefully opened the door and stepped into the wooden cabin. She stepped inside nervously, hoping no one was around. Leewin quickly took off her helmet and armor. She dazedly walked to the bed and threw herself onto it. This is all Kalian's fault. Oh well, since I'm here alone, I might as well relax a bit. Pretending to be cool in front of Savian is so tiring. Maybe because I'm not tense anymore, my mana flow seems to be gradually stabilizing. Good thing I can change back into a man now. My hands are getting bigger again. However, my mana still isn't completely stable, so I still can't sober up. I'm so tired. The alcohol is making me exhausted. I should probably get some sleep. Besides, no one would come to a secluded place like this anyway. It was silent around the wooden cabin. Not a single sound, not even a light breeze. Savian carefully ran to the wooden cabin alone. Ah, I see the tent over there. I was so happy to share a tent with him, but he didn't seem comfortable because of me. He didn't even take off his armor, so I'll sleep here so he can rest more comfortably. The wooden door creaked as he opened it. Savian's eyes widened in shock. Before him was the sight of Leewin. Deep in slumber, Savian blushed shyly. Why is she here, and without her armor on? I want to get a closer look. I smell alcohol. She must be drunk. She won't suddenly wake up, will she? He mustered all his courage to reach out and touch her cheek, but Savian shyly pulled his hand back. Just touching her, her skin is so smooth. I heard she was handsome, but in person she's truly captivating. No, that's not the right word. She's beautiful. In the quiet atmosphere, a strange sound suddenly echoed, startling him. Savian looked behind him in fear. What was that sound? Isn't that crow one of Batu's messenger birds? The crow began to relay a message. Your Highness, the 8th Prince, if you don't wish to wake her, you should come outside. He agreed and followed it outside. Savian was wary of Batu. If a subordinate of Kalian was already here, the man started to probe. Why are you so frightened? I only came to relay Sir Kalian's orders. He had guessed correctly. It was just as he thought. Savian clenched his fists, trying to remain calm. What is it? What did my brother order? Batu coldly imitated Kalian's tone. The order from His Highness is to seduce Duke Burgen of the Highland Empire. His jaw dropped in astonishment. What? Seduce her? Savian thought in confusion. I thought the reason they brought me here was to be a prisoner sent to the Highland Empire, to seduce the Emperor and turn him into a tyrant. He began to explain, but because the Duke's skills exceeded our expectations, the plan has changed to recruiting her to serve our empire. Batu added, regardless, if you fail, the life of His Highness will be in danger, so please complete your mission successfully. He turned pale, his mind thrown into chaos. Seduce the Duke? How can I betray the person who protected me? What am I supposed to do now? Early the next morning, warm sunbeams shone down upon the forest. Leewin was woken up by the natural light. She sat up and stretched. It's been a while since I've had such a good sleep. I feel so refreshed. Huh? Refreshed. Wait a minute. What time is it? Leewin shot up and yelled, it's morning already. How long was I asleep? I have a meeting this morning. I need to get my armor on quick and grab my sword. In no time, she had her armor on and was mounted on her horse. Leewin was ready to go. All right, time to hurry back to camp. I wonder if Savian is okay all alone? She felt a knot of worry in her stomach. But why do I feel so uneasy? As if last night I was with someone. It must have just been a drunken illusion. The knights started buzzing when they saw Leewin return to the camp. Oh, isn't that the Duke? Are you all right? You were gone all night. We were so worried. She cleared her throat and explained cursorily. I was just training by myself in the mountains, so I got back a bit late. Now then, I'm off to the administration building for a meeting with the specialist. A knight asked. To confirm, are you skipping this morning's military meeting? Leewin nodded. Yes, the deal with Batu was finalized last night, so get ready to head back home. They were shocked and exclaimed in unison, What? Really? The war's over that fast? You're incredible, Duke. She's so nervous she's sweating, and I find it strange too. Who would have thought he'd accept such unfavorable terms? Like that after just a few drinks? I wonder what Kalian is planning. A man approached and said, Ah, Duke Lee Win. Startled back to reality. You're from the Count's family, right? What is it? He leaned in close to my ear and whispered, Lady Demia wishes to see you. Lee Win nodded. I understand. I'll see her after the meeting. Inside, she cheered. That's right. Once I meet Demia, I can finally go home. I miss my bed so much. After the meeting, Demia placed a stack of papers in front of Leewin, Duke Lee Win Zeberwen. These are the documents proving Count Hassan's corruption, she said earnestly. Thank you, my lady. Leewin picked up the papers and mused while reading. Oh, impressive. To find this much evidence in such a short time. Even though I already knew, her skills are truly phenomenal. It's a shame that in this world, women can't hold titles. She's the perfect candidate for the next lord. She blushed shyly at her praise. Thank you, you've worked hard, Lady Demia. With these documents, we can get rid of Count Hassan while keeping the support of the other counts. Demia humbly replied, No, it's because you helped me first. I'm the one who should be thanking you, Duke. I will never forget this favor for as long as I live. Leewin cut her off. My lady, this isn't a favor. I simply recognized your talent and scouted a capable person. She looked at her in disbelief. Really? Thank you, Duke. Her Highness the Princess is so lucky. Confused, she wondered what Demia meant. Pardon me, what do you mean? Demia couldn't hide her look of admiration. She has a Duke who is so strong and trustworthy on her side. Leewin looked up at Demia with a pensive look. What's this? Is she hitting on me? Her face is getting a little red. Wait a minute. Don't tell me that keeping my distance from Rosaline on purpose is making me look cooler in other people's eyes? Is this the fruit of my hard labor? Right, if even Demia has feelings for me without me knowing, then seducing Savian shouldn't be too hard. Or not. Savian clumsily refused her kind offer. I'll take care of it myself. Duke, Leewin was crushed, Your Highness, but he stated firmly, I'm fine. I can climb on my own. Savian thought, flustered. I can't keep troubling her. Leewin was completely baffled. But why does he hate me so much? I thought I was treating Savian very well. Near the edge of the forest lay a vast desert where no living thing could survive. The knights on horseback stopped at the edge of the forest. Savian, sitting on her lap, thought, It's been 2 days, and this is so uncomfortable. What's this? Leewin pressed a small yellow pouch into his hands. Your Highness, please take this, Savian asked, confused. What is it? She quickly explained, It's Baraboo jelly, the Empire's national snack. Since you've been injured and traveling for days, you must be exhausted. I thought something sweet might help, so I brought some along. He mumbled shyly. Yes, thank. Savian was deeply moved. This kind of jelly must be difficult to find in the Greek Empire, Duke. You brought this back just for me? He immediately unwrapped the jelly and ate it himself, leaving Savian beet red with embarrassment. It's so sweet, but even for a duke as gentle as him, if he found out I was a spy, he would surely be very disappointed. Leewin spoke up to remind him, Your Highness, please look ahead. We've arrived in the Highland Empire. He looked up. What did you just say? Savian's jaw dropped in astonishment at the sight. Before him. He walked in a daze amidst the cheers of the people. Duke Burgen has returned. Thank you for protecting the border. Savian's attention was drawn to where Rosaline's and Lysias's voices were coming from. Duke Lee Win! Over here! Over here! Lee Win! Welcome back, and congratulations on your victory! He stared blankly with wide eyes. That was the Duke's lover, Princess Rosaline. She was truly as radiant as the sun, just as the rumors said. A world apart from me. What is this chill running down my spine? It gives me a creepy feeling. Just like when I faced Kalian. Oh, that person is Lysias Zeus Helen, the Emperor of the Hellen Empire. But why is he staring at me like that? After securing the victory, I rarely returned to the Empire, once again busy with the days spent trying to save this world. It was now late at night, and Leewin looked all too willing, as he asked Rosaline, Do we really have to go this far? Of course it's because of you, sis. Our plan failed from the very beginning. Savian won't even eat and just stammers every time he sees you. Don't you understand that the future of humanity depends on us? That's because for some reason Savian is still keeping his distance from me. Remembering how he looked back then, Duke, I want to be alone. Right now, the plan with Savian is off to a rocky start. Rosaline stroked her chin, reassuring her.